For years, moving abroad felt like a solid plan B for thousands of Americans, whether it was to escape rising living costs, get access to better healthcare, or just start fresh. Countries across Europe, Latin America, and Southeast Asia seemed wide open. But that was then. Now, the story is changing. In 2025, more countries than ever are making it harder for Americans to move in, stay long-term, or renew their legal status. From visa rejections to stricter income rules, tightened tax policies, and even public pressure from local residents, it's becoming clear. Some countries simply don't want American residents anymore. And this isn't just happening in one or two places. From Europe to Central America, the welcome mat is being pulled back, and a lot of Americans who thought they had everything in order are being caught off guard. So, in this video, we're breaking down the real reasons behind these changes, the countries where it's happening the fastest, and what you need to know before making any move abroad. Let's get into it. Let's start with a country that used to be a top choice for Americans looking to live in Europe: Portugal. For years, Portugal was known for being welcoming, affordable, and full of opportunity. Its warm climate, slow pace of life, and relatively easy residency rules made it one of the most popular destinations for Americans moving abroad after 2020. But in 2025, that image is changing fast. Here's what's happening. Portugal ended its golden visa for real estate investment, which used to be one of the easiest paths to residency. New rules now require more income, tighter paperwork, and longer processing times. Many Americans are facing delays of 6 to 12 months just to get an appointment, and some are being asked to leave while their paperwork is stuck in the system. And it's not just the system. Local frustration is growing. Cities like Lisbon and Porto have seen housing prices skyrocket, and many locals blame foreign buyers and long-term visitors. Protests in early 2025 pushed the government to act, and they did. Now, priority is being given to locals, not foreign residents. If you were thinking about Portugal as your escape route, know this: it's no longer as easy or as welcoming as it used to be. Next up is Mexico, one of the most common destinations for Americans looking for a cheaper lifestyle, especially retirees and remote workers. But 2025 is not the same Mexico Americans remember from a few years ago. Here's what's changed. Temporary residency is now harder to qualify for. Income requirements are being reviewed more closely, and applications that used to be approved quickly are now being delayed or denied. Mexican immigration offices are doing more spot checks. Some Americans are being asked for proof of rent, utility bills, and bank statements to show they're actually living in the country full-time. If you're working online from Mexico, even for a U.S. company, you may be required to report income locally or pay taxes, something that never used to happen. More Americans are now being sent home or having their visas denied, especially those staying in Mexico on tourist visas while working online. Before, that was pretty common and not a big deal. But now, it's a real risk. Local tensions are also rising. In places like Tulum and Mexico City, residents are speaking out about Americans driving up prices and changing the culture. Mexico isn't banning Americans outright, but it is making it much harder to stay long-term without meeting stricter rules. Spain used to be another top destination for Americans hoping to enjoy a Mediterranean lifestyle, relaxed pace, and beautiful cities. But in 2025, it's getting harder to live there, and for many Americans, the door is slowly closing. Here's what's going on. Spain's no-work visa, which lets people live there without getting a local job, now asks for more income and stronger proof that you're financially connected to the country. The paperwork is getting harder, especially for Americans working online. Some people are being rejected because officials say they aren't helping the local economy enough. When it's time to renew, the government is now asking for things like health records, proof of rent, and bank statements to make sure people actually live there and follow the rules. Just like in Portugal, public frustration is shaping policy. In cities like Madrid and Barcelona, rent is rising faster than people's paychecks, and many locals say that too many foreigners, especially Americans, are making it harder for them to afford living in their own neighborhoods. In response, Spain is now prioritizing long-term integration and local spending, and that means fewer spots for Americans who just want to live cheaply without participating in the local system. For decades, Thailand has been a magnet for Americans looking for low-cost living, beautiful beaches, and easy visa access. But that's starting to change fast. Here's what's changing in 2025. Thailand has revised its long-stay visas, especially for remote workers and retirees. New requirements include higher monthly income, health insurance, and sometimes even proof of investment or a local sponsor. People working online and staying in Thailand for a few months or more are now being asked to report their income for taxes, even if they're getting paid by US companies. In 2025, Thailand is tightening visa renewals. Now, retirees and long-term residents must meet new financial requirements, or they risk being asked to leave. Surveys show nearly half of current residents feel the pressure to exit due to the stricter rules on bank deposits and income documentation. The government says it wants to attract people who add value to the economy, not just visitors staying long-term without contributing. And local attitudes are shifting too. In cities like Chiang Mai and tourist hubs like Phuket, there's growing concern that Americans and other foreign visitors are driving up rent while avoiding local taxes. Thailand hasn't closed the door, but it's definitely making people knock harder. Italy made headlines when it launched a visa program for online workers in early 2024. Many Americans got excited about the chance to live and work from beautiful cities like Florence, Milan, or Naples. But in practice, the process has been anything but smooth. Here's why Italy is now one of the countries pushing back. The visa now has tough tax rules and a lot of paperwork. People applying need to show steady income, proof of where they'll live, and might end up paying taxes twice if they're not careful. Some Americans are being rejected because their work is not high skill enough, or because they don't meet strict income thresholds. And those already in the system are reporting months of waiting, with little communication from immigration offices. There's also a political shift happening. In 2025, Italian lawmakers are focusing more on protecting jobs and housing for local citizens, especially in cities that have been heavily affected by tourism and short-term rentals. So, while Italy still technically allows Americans to move there, it's now a much harder process, and fewer are being accepted than before. Indonesia, especially the island of Bali, has been a go-to destination for Americans wanting a tropical lifestyle on a budget. For years, people came on tourist visas and stayed for months at a time, working remotely without much interference. But that's changed in 2025, and the message is clear. If you're not following the rules, you're no longer welcome. Here's what's happening. Indonesia has tightened its visa extensions and is now requiring more paperwork, proof of contribution to the economy. In Bali, immigration officials have launched sudden checks, visiting homes and shared workspaces to check what people are really doing there. More Americans and other foreigners are now being sent home if they're found working without the right paperwork. In 2025, the Indonesian government made it clear, Bali is not a playground. It's a home for our citizens first. If you're thinking of moving to Indonesia casually, without a real plan or legal structure, you might find yourself on the next flight back home. Section: Why is this happening everywhere? It's not just about visas or money. It's about shifting global priorities and the fact that many governments are rethinking how much space they want to give to long-term foreign residents. Here's what's driving the change. Locals are pushing back. In cities all over the world, Lisbon, Tulum, Bali, Barcelona, residents are speaking out. They're seeing rents skyrocket, salaries aren't rising, and entire neighborhoods change. Governments are listening, and the result is clear. Locals first. Pressure on infrastructure. Many of these countries don't have the healthcare, roads, housing, or school systems to support growing foreign populations. As more Americans move in, these systems stretch thin, and that creates problems. Governments want tax money. If you're living abroad but not paying into the local economy, some countries see that as unfair. Now they're asking for proof. Are you earning enough? Are you spending locally? Are you paying your share? What can Americans still do in 2025? If all of this sounds overwhelming, don't panic. Yes, the rules are changing, but there are still options for Americans who do things the right way and prepare ahead. Here's what you can still do to make your move abroad work. Start with the right countries. While many popular spots are tightening up, some countries are still open, especially for Americans who meet basic income rules, follow local laws, and want to contribute. As of mid-2025, here are a few. Panama still offers a friendly nations visa that's open to Americans with modest income or business plans. Uruguay remains one of the most stable, open countries in Latin America and offers long-term residency with fewer roadblocks. Malaysia continues to support its second home program, especially for retirees. Ecuador offers visas with lower income requirements, and the cost of living remains low. These countries may not get as much attention, but they're quietly becoming strong Plan B options if you're prepared. Get your paperwork in order. Don't assume the process will be easy, even in the most welcoming countries. You'll need proof of steady income or savings, clean legal background, health insurance, housing plans, and in some cases, tax records or financial statements. Start gathering your documents now, even if you're only thinking about moving a year or two from now. Visa rules can change with little warning. Don't count on tourist visas anymore. In the past, many Americans moved abroad casually, flying in on tourist visas and staying longer than they were supposed to. But in 2025, countries are tracking border entries more closely. If you overstay or try to live abroad without the right visa, you could get fined, banned from re-entry, or even deported, get legal, or stay home. The old figure-it-out-later approach isn't safe anymore. Be a guest, not a burden. This may sound simple, but it matters now more than ever. If you're going to live in another country, respect the culture, learn the basics of the language, support local businesses, avoid showing off or acting entitled. Governments and local communities are more sensitive now to the impact of foreign residents. Those who come with respect and responsibility are far more likely to be welcomed. Why this shift shouldn't be a surprise. For decades, the American passport was a powerful tool. Americans could move freely, work abroad easily, and often got the benefit of the doubt. But the world is changing. Other countries are dealing with rising costs of living, stretched healthcare systems, local housing shortages, and political pressure to put their citizens first. So, they're setting new boundaries, and for Americans used to moving freely, that shift feels sudden. But maybe it's not about shutting people out. Maybe it's about forcing all of us to think more carefully about how we live, where we go, and what kind of impact we leave behind. Closing. Don't wait for the doors to close. If you're still planning to move abroad, here's the truth. The window is still open, but it's getting smaller. You can still build a life in another country. You can still find safety, opportunity, and peace of mind. But it takes planning, patience, and honesty about what you're bringing to the table. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more honest breakdowns like this one. Every week, we cover the latest on migration, global trends, and what they mean for Americans in 2025. Let us know in the comments. Were you planning to move abroad? Have the new rules changed your plans? And as always, stay informed, stay flexible, and don't wait until it's too late.